And we're live. This is the first step. We will skip this backup time machine. We don't need to be doing that right now. Bring up my show doc. And let's get it started. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. It's Friday, April 23rd, 2021. Today, we're talking all about this week's Apple event because this is the iMore show. Joining me, as always, is iMore contributor Karen Freeman. Hey, Karen.
Hello.
And joining us today as our special guest is iMore writer Christine Romero-Chan. Hi, Christine.
Hey.
So, big week. What a week it has been.
It was spring-loaded, wasn't it?
It truly was a spring-loaded event. Just shot out of there like a cannon. Because most impressively, they kept it to an hour. I'm looking at the YouTube video right now next to me. 1 hour, 1 minute, and 3 seconds.
And some of that must have been just like ending credits or whatever, because it ended at 2:00 on the dot.
Right. I think I think part of that hour is just the intro, like video, you know, had the graphics that flew past the camera, and then we're on Tim Cook's smiling face as he says good morning to us. So before we dive into the event, there was a little bit of an incident this week with some supposed leaked schematics that I want to talk about, because I want to spend most of the time talking about event. I figured we'd get rid of this, We'd jump on this top. We'd get rid of this like a grenade. So earlier this week, there was a reported ransomware attack by a group called Revil, which, okay, good job, guys. You're edgy.
Yeah, kind of a play on words, like evil and are evil, like we are evil, or like revile.
Think of Resident Evil.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. If you're gonna have a hacker group, don't make people think of a video game. Don't do that. But yeah, so what this is is apparently there were some leaked schematics published by this group, Revil, that show off what is now the already announced iMac, but also an unannounced MacBook Pro. And the schematics here line up with rumors that we heard earlier this year, where we've got some ports returning to the MacBook Pro, like Magsafe and an SD card slot and even HDMI, which, okay, sure, why not? What do we think of this? What do we think of this leak here? Do we like the looks of this somewhat regressive MacBook Pro?
I can't see Apple putting big ports like that. Like HDMI and SD card slot, those are big. Like I just can't see Apple going back to that. MagSafe I could see. I mean, the new iMacs, I mean, they're not calling it MagSafe, but that's essentially what it's like. It's a magnetic charger.
MagSafe for desktops.
Yeah, so I could definitely see MagSafe coming back, but I just in some form, some new improved form, I'm sure. But HDMI and SD, I don't know. What do you think?
I can buy SD because it's a long port, but it's also thin. And plenty of professionals still use equipment that uses SD cards.
Right. They all have hubs by now, though, don't they? Or dongles.
Well, maybe they've
all bought them.
Maybe they've lovingly hung on to their 2015 MacBook Pros. You know, the year before the 4-port
Creative Pros. Maybe.
I
mean, I was using a 2013 MacBook Pro until like last year when I bought my iMac. So
yeah, exactly. And people hang on to Macs for a while. They hold up.
They do.
But I don't know about HDMI. HDMI is the one that really mystifies me.
I know. That's a big fat port.
It's huge.
And how often do you use it?
Yeah. I mean, let's be I have to think that for most people, it's such a small amount of time comparative to say even SD, that it's worth it just to get a dongle for the times you need it. You know,
Right.
get that
Yeah.
video, the $80 video dongle that Apple provides. I would love to see. I've talked about this before. I'd love to see MagSafe come back. And Karen, you're right. With given what we saw in the new iMac this week, that makes a lot of sense to me. Magnets, magnets, baby. That's what we want to see. And yeah, it's a great way to charge. It's a great way to keep your computer safe. I would still love if you could charge through the Thunderbolt ports. That would be my preference, because you don't. I think people do like that functionality, especially being able to charge on either side.
Yeah.
And so, but if there was a MagSafe option, that's near a must buy for a lot of people, I think, especially those who have held on for a while to a MagSafe MagSafe equipped MacBook. So yeah, HDMI aside, this looks pretty good. They did have the new iMac in these schematics, so could be. I think we'll find out later this year.
And it's gonna get rid of the touch bar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
Supposedly.
another big piece of news that I sometimes forget about because I've never used a touch bar.
Yeah,
I still have not used a touch bar.
I have the touch bar on my MacBook Pro,
What
and
do you think about it?
I could live without it. It just, I don't know. It's fine. I mean, I don't hate it, but it doesn't. I'm totally fine without it. I don't use it that much.
See, Karen, this is a perspective I'm glad to have on the show, because in the wider Apple community, I hear there are some people, often younger, that love it, and then there are people, often my age and older, that hate it with a fiery passion.
No, I don't.
Suns.
I don't hate it at all. I use it probably most often to adjust my volume, which is really a boring use case, but
yeah,
it works, and it seems to pop up when I need it.
And I kind of like that you can just drag your finger across rather than just repeatedly tap that old motion.
Yeah,
of tapping the volume up button. I do appreciate that. But that's the leak. That's the leak. Let's dive into the actual news of this week, because it was a big Tuesday that we all had, and we're going to try to go through this in order. So we'll start at the beginning. Apple held its spring-loaded event at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. They had a lot to say. Started with services. Apple Card Family, which I think had been leaked as part of the iOS 14.5 beta several weeks back. It's a thing now. What is the big deal with Apple Card Family? Because I don't have a desire to share Apple Card with anybody. So let's dive into this a little bit.
Yeah, I don't share mine with anybody either.
Yeah. So Apple announced Apple Card Family. What this is it lets spouses and families actually build credit through one credit card account, a shared account on an Apple Card.
Yeah, this is a positive step, because in my parents' generation, a woman could be married for 50 years and use a credit card and go shopping and whatever, and build absolutely no credit. And then if she ends up widowed or whatever, and she's however old and has absolutely zero credit, because everything was in the husband's name. That's not a good situation. So it's good to be able to have both spouses on an account, being able to build credit at the same time.
And it also lets kids, I think it's 13 and over, start building positive credit history, or assuming it's positive credit history, assuming the parents are paying their bills on time.
Yeah.
But
we got our kids credit cards pretty young, because we did want them to start building that credit. So
Karen, you have an Apple Card?
I do, but I don't share it with anybody. Just me. It's just me.
Christine, do you have an Apple Card?
Yeah, I do, but I don't plan to share it either.
You don't plan to use Apple Card Family? Do you use family
No.
sharing?
With my husband, yeah.
All right, yeah. This is,
But he
yeah,
doesn't want more credit cards or anything, so.
yeah. It's weird. Apple Card. It's a good credit card, but at the same time, it's another credit card.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was Apple Card Family. There was also an update to podcasts, and the Apple Podcasts app is getting a bit of a makeover in iOS 14.5. This isn't the Podcasts Plus that a lot of people were expecting. It's something a bit different. Christine, why don't you talk a bit about Apple Podcast subscriptions?
Um. Well, from the announcement, it seems like content creators can offer like sponsor-free versions of their podcasts and exclusive episodes and early access to content.
Yeah. Yeah. So they talked a little bit about this. You can, in the podcast app itself, you can subscribe. See, this, we talked about this a few weeks ago. They changed the terminology in the podcast app. So now, if you just want to, what we used to call subscribe to a podcast, you now follow it. And subscribing to a podcast in the app now is you're paying for something. And you can, they talked about, you can set, it's sort of like you can set the price. It works kind of like the App Store, and it came out
Yeah.
later this week. It's a 70-30 split on subscriptions for the developer or for the creator in the first year, and it's 85-15, I think, in the after that. So yeah, you can have, I think, exclusive episodes, early access episodes, ad free. You can choose different ways to do this. I want to say I saw in the materials there's like a Luminary option or something like that. Which is weird because Luminary is a standalone service. But maybe they've somehow joined in on Apple's.
I think people were worried that Apple was going to start charging for all podcasts. I don't know. It was a fear that I had. So I think, at least I was relieved to see that's not the case. Like the podcasts that want to be free are still going to be free. And then if people want to charge for their podcasts and offer special content, extra content, ad-free content for their listeners, then they have the option to do that. They just have to share with Apple. I mean, it seems fair to me.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like any of this has to be exclusive to Apple. So I know a lot of creators, they have, say, Patreons or other crowdfunding mechanisms. Some networks have their own subscription models. And it doesn't seem like they have to give those up if they want to buy into Apple's subscription model. It also doesn't seem like you can get these, or that you can somehow link these subscribed feeds to third-party podcast app. Like I listen to podcasts through Overcast, for instance.
Yeah, me too.
Use podcasts, so I don't think I'll be subscribing to any podcast this way. But it's one of, if not the most popular podcast app in the world. Spotify, I know, is at least catching up, or it's in the same territory. But this is a big deal. This is going to be a big deal for a lot of podcasters. It's it's an interesting move, and I think better in the long run than Podcast Plus would have been, with exclusive shows and behind a subscription.
So Stephen asked a question in the comments. Do we know if Apple then covers the cost of distribution? I'm not sure what he means by distribution, like advertising, and is that what you think he means?
I think it's like hosting and things like that.
Yeah, because I would assume Apple's not going to do anything like that.
No, I don't think that's the case. I think, in fact, I think you have to pay $20 a year to join this program. Is the understanding that I've seen? Anyway.
Yeah, my understanding is Apple's just allowing you to be there and taking a cut.
Yeah. Maybe there's something with the like the paid episodes. Maybe because you can have paid episodes and you can have free episodes. I don't know if you have like 2 separate RSS feeds or if one of them's sort of Apple Podcasts exclusive, something like that. I don't actually know at the moment. So
Yeah.
that was services. Just a couple of quick updates. There'll be an Apple TV Plus update in a little bit, but first we need to talk a little bit about the iPhone of all things. iPhone 12, an iPhone 12 mini. It's purple now.
Yeah.
It's
I
the
think
grimace phone.
I think Christine and I are of the same mindset that it's not fair to release purple mid-cycle. I wanted purple.
Yeah, I hate when they release new colors mid-cycle because
Yeah,
I always buy it on launch. If they had this color, like when it launched, I would have bought it if I was getting an iPhone 12, but I got the Pro, so.
yeah, and this, or the way you could look at it, Christine, is this could have been another color for you to complain about not being able to get on an iPhone 12.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for my rose gold iPhone.
Apple, just make it happen.
I
do
hope
another
Rose Gold.
mid-cycle update.
I do hope Rose Gold comes back, but I definitely would have. I did buy the iPhone 12 mini, and I definitely would have bought purple if that was available at the time.
Did you see they also released a new purple silicon iPhone
The case. Oh, it's really pretty.
Yeah.
I kind of like this purple on the phone that they've got. It's
I
better
wish
than
the purple was actually like that deep grape purple.
I like the case better.
Yeah, the case is a gorgeous purple. I'd be happy with a phone that color too. I like them both. I like pretty much every shade of purple. I love purple, and I think the case and the phone look beautiful together.
I like this purple of the phone a lot better than the purple on the iPhone 11. It was too washed out for me on the 11. Just
they're pretty similar, but yeah, it is a little bit. It's a little bit richer, a little bit more saturated, I think.
And the sides of the phone are they're that grimace purple. That's what I call that shade. It's grimace purple. Yeah, that's another mid-cycle refresh. Apparently, I was watching a video. I think it was MKBHD this week, where he asked about why purple, and apparently
why not purple?
Apparently purple was Steve Jobs' favorite color.
Oh, what's that?
Oh.
Yeah, I think the code name for the iPhone project, before there ever was an actual iPhone out in the wild, was Project Purple or something like that. That was the code name for the device.
Didn't he die? Was it pancreatic cancer that he died of?
I believe
Steve Jobs, because purple is also the color for, like the ribbon for pancreatic cancer awareness.
Well, there you go. And it's been almost 10 years since he passed away. It'll be in October of this year, I think.
So we might be reading too much into that, but gosh, I would love if they kept purple as like a regular color, like how there's always, there's always a red, there's always a blue.
And just think, Apple, with the purple, you can always go deeper on that purple, always more vibrant. You don't need to do these pastel colors. You don't. So yeah, that was iPhone. And next we have AirTags. So yeah, Christine.
I bought mine. I bought 4.
It's happening. It's actually happening. We have it. Yeah. They're real.
We finally, Lucy didn't pull the football away this time.
Lucy didn't. Thank you, Lucy. Yeah, Christine, are they everything you hoped? Or almost everything you hoped?
Well, I wish it would have like those notifications like the tile where if you leave it behind, but it doesn't appear to be the case.
Yeah.
No, it's kind of weird how they're handling that. So if you make off with somebody else's AirTag, or if somebody sticks their AirTag into your bag in order to stalk you, you'll get a notification. But if you leave your own AirTag behind, you don't.
This is something that I think can be updated in software later down the line, at least for the Find My app, if not the actual firmware of the AirTags. But other than that, I think it's pretty much what we expected.
Yeah.
But done very well. They seem done very well. I like that the official Apple leather keychain is more expensive than the AirTag itself. which we should talk
Yeah,
about price.
I wanted to get like an accessory, but I'm like, I don't want to pay $35 for that, and I'm getting like some third-party ones, so I'm like, I'll pass on that.
Yeah, I ordered my 4-pack this morning, and I'm getting 2 of the little Belkin one that are like $12 a piece.
Yeah.
I know where 3 of the 4 AirTags are going to go already. But yeah, that's so pricing. Let's talk about price.
So what are you going to put your AirTags on?
Okay, so here's what it is. I'm putting them on my keys. That seems like a no-brainer. I've also got this hardware security key. It has a little key loop on it. I'm going to put it on. I'm going to put the other Belkin equipped AirTag on this. And then one's going in my primary travel bag. And then the 4th one is probably also going to end up in some kind of bag, but I'm also giving some consideration to just hiding it somewhere in my car.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Christine, where are you putting yours?
Well, I'm gonna definitely put one on my keys, probably one in my wallet, and probably my car. Probably give one to my husband.
Yeah. So I forgot to set an alarm. Like all last night I was thinking, oh, I'll be up by 8. It's no problem. And I was up by 8, but it just completely slipped my mind. And so about 8:30, I'm like, oh, I forgot to order my AirTag. So I went to order a 4-pack and they were shipping like mid-May. And I'm just like, ugh, I can't wait. I can't wait a whole month. So I just canceled that order and I just got one to pick up. And I have to pick it up at my local store at 10 in the morning. So next Friday. So I'm just going to put it on my keys and I'll kind of see how it goes. I might, like if I travel, I'll stick it in my suitcase because that'll be the highest priority for travel. But I do like the idea of just like hiding one in my car because just even if I lose my car in a parking lot,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wanted to get them engraved, but when I woke up at like 6:20 my time, the engraved ones were already like mid-May, and so I'm like, oh, I'll just get the regular ones with no engraving. I wanted to put like emojis in my initials.
Yeah, I know. I had gotten all of mine engraved, and then when I saw the ship date, I was like, ugh, forget it. The next round, like if I find I really love it and I go to buy more, then I'll get engraved ones.
I thought it was funny on the engraving where they don't allow certain combinations in certain orders.
Really?
Well, so for instance, they have a horse emoji and they have a poop emoji.
Oh, you can't put the poop behind the horse.
You can't put the poop. You can't do horse poop, but you can do poop horse.
Oh, Apple.
That's
hilarious.
That's so strange to me.
Like, why did they even offer the poop emoji? It's such a limited range of emoji that they offered.
Yeah.
It's not like you can get any emoji.
Yeah, I would have preferred.
They could have skipped the poop.
There's no key. Why no key emoji? That seems obvious.
Yeah. There's no key emoji. There's no car emoji. That seems like an obvious one.
Car emoji, but
like a purse emoji. Like things that you would put your. Yeah, they're just sort of random. It seems like.
But yeah, let's talk for a minute about price. $30
Amazing.
per AirTag. Yeah,
amazing. They're basically the same as the competitors.
Basically, better than I think any of us hoped, really.
Yeah, we were thinking like 35, 45, 50.
Yeah. Now, accessories aside, and if you want to attach these to keys, you do need an accessory because there's no little hole or loop. So that is something you have to take into account. But what you should also take into account is there's no subscription to unlock any of the features.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's $30 for one AirTag. It's 100. It's 100. They say 99, but plus tax. It's 100 for 4, which is a savings of about $20. If you were going to buy 4 individually, it'd run you about 120. So yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I 1 and 4, I think are. I mean, 1 is obvious. Why isn't there a 2-pack? Is my question.
Yeah.
I think they're just trying to minimize the number of SKUs for inventory sake. But I mean, I'm sure I'm going to buy a 4-pack at some point. If nothing else, I'll give them to family members. I mean, It's just such an obvious. I think these are going to sell really, really well. That's my prediction.
Yeah, and like you said, the engraved ones are already slipping to mid-May.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I definitely do want engraved ones, but
Yeah.
I just didn't want to wait till May.
Oh, I was also thinking about maybe putting one on my dog's collar. Maybe.
Work.
Apple's saying not to do that, but I definitely think it's a CYA kind of
Yeah,
situation.
they do emphasize don't put these on your kids. Get an Apple Watch instead and do family setup.
Yeah.
Don't.
But if you
kids.
stick it in your kid's backpack, is it really that different than sticking it on your kid?
Where'd you hide this on me?
Because sticking it in a kid's backpack is an obvious thing because you guys don't have kids, but they lose backpacks a lot. It's a pretty common thing, at soccer practice or at school or at a friend's house or whatever. But
I think Apple's solution would be get your kid an iPhone and they can set up their own AirTags.
Oh yeah, right.
This is just another, hey, why don't you also get this kind of article? No,
I think they want people to get Apple Watches for their kids because I think we're talking about younger kids, not teenagers. But now that you can give your kid an Apple Watch and have it connected to your phone, like that's what Apple wants you to do.
It's their fervent hope. The tracking on, like the AR kind of tracking mechanism they have on U1 equipped iPhones seems really cool. Looks like
I really like
feet.
that.
Yeah, like 30 to 50 feet seems to be the range on that.
It's nice for accessibility too, because if you can't hear if you're making the AirTag chime and you can't hear it, but you can see on the screen exactly where to go to it. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And if you say, let's say you have one on a jacket and you've left your jacket, a couple floors up, you'll get a little note in the interface that says your AirTag might be above you or might be below you or something like that.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. We also learned this week, I think yesterday even, that it's a maximum of 16 AirTags per Apple ID.
Yeah.
Which that's fine.
Seems like plenty.
That seems like plenty. If you need more, I'm sure at some point Apple will bump that up to like 32. And you just track everything in your life.
Yeah.
Need it or not. So before we move on, Karen, why don't you talk to us about one of our sponsors this week?
Yes. Well, we'll start with IPVanish. So today we're welcoming a new sponsor to the show, IPVanish. So what is IPVanish? It's a virtual private network, a VPN for short. A VPN is a super important tool that helps you safely browse the internet. You can use a VPN on your computers, tablets, phones, even things like your Fire Stick when you're streaming media. When you use a VPN, all your data is encrypted. What you're reading, what you're searching, what you're watching, whatever it is you're doing. That's important because what you're doing on the internet is no one else's business but yours. IPVanish helps you remain anonymous and secure on the internet. For listeners of the show, IPVanish is offering an incredible 65% off, just $3.49 for the first month, or $31.49 for the year. Here's everything you get with IPVanish. Anonymous IP addresses. This means your personal IP address can't be tracked by anyone on the web. Circumvent any online censorship. IPVanish has more than 1,500 servers in more than 70 locations. Get protection while using public Wi-Fi. Remember, with IPVanish, all your data is encrypted, so no one can snoop on what you're doing. 24/7 support. Email them, chat with them, even call them. They're there to help. So go to IPVanish/iMore. Claim your 65% savings. They have plans starting at just $349 or $31.49 a year. This is the time to sign up. With our discount and their current promotional offerings, you can get a VPN for 65% off their usual offering. IPVanish is the best of the best, even rated 4.7 out of 5 on Trustpilot, and that's with more than 6,000 reviews. Show these guys some love. They're repeat sponsors. Remember, it's IPVanish.com/iMore. to get the deal and start protecting yourself online.
All right. So sticking with AirTags for a moment, one of the things that really struck me about this is how we've been anticipating AirTags for a while. Like this is the big
That's an
this
understatement.
I feel like this is the big finale of the event, even though there were, bigger announcements certainly coming up. But I don't know that they spent not a lot of time talking about AirTags, which makes sense. At the same time, I'm not, and I'm already not anticipating AirTags 2. Does that make any sense? Like, good, we have them, and now that it's just kind of everybody can get them, but now it's kind of like a whatever to me. It's
You're over it.
But AirTags 2 could have the keychain hole.
There we go. The definition of AirTags 2. Keychain hole.
Well, it might have a chime that lets you know when you leave it behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the one feature I think that Christine and I were both hoping for.
Yeah. I think it's good that they're out now. It's going to be, I feel like, one of the best selling, least talked about Apple products in a while, because everybody talks about iPhones, they talk about AirPods. I don't think a lot of people I don't think they're going to be on the top of, they're not going to be a top of mind product for people.
Oh, I know what
very popular.
I know what AirTags 2 is going to have.
Ooh,
purple.
Black. Oh, perfect. They're going to come in colors. They're going to come in black.
Yeah, a whole rainbow of colors.
I think companies like dbrand are already offering like skins and coloring for them.
Oh, of course, and obviously you could get the little keychain holders in different colors.
Yeah, I think it's weird that so many of the accessories, leaving aside the Hermes ones because of course they are. I think so many of it's so strange that so many of the accessories are more expensive than the AirTags. It's the
Apple ones, but the Belkin ones are much cheaper. They're like $13, and then I just wrote an article about all the third-party accessories out there. There are plenty that are plenty cheap. So
you
don't have to buy an expensive.
Yeah, like I said, holder. I got a couple of the Belkin, like the $12, $13 Belkin holders to put on my keys.
Yeah, I like those. They're just very simple, and they do the job.
Yeah, and there's one that comes in black, and it comes in black and white, and I got one of each of those.
Yeah, you didn't get pink and blue.
No, I don't want it to. That's the thing. I want it to stand out as little as possible on my keys, and it's already going to be kind of standing out because it's silver. I got to say, during the little ad they showed when they were introducing AirTags, it occurred to me that when you see them on the little key ring in that ad, it occurred to me they look kind of cool, just like a little charm on your keys.
Yeah, it just looks like a little Apple keychain. And I have to say the AirTag does have some features that I wasn't expecting that are actually really cool that I don't think people are talking about that much. Initially, I thought I would want it hidden. I would want my AirTag hidden. Like you were saying, like I didn't want it to stand out, but the more I think about it, the more I think I actually do want it to show, because if somebody finds your keys, for example, and they see that you have an AirTag, if they put their phone just near it, it will immediately pop up with whatever message that you've selected. Hey, these are my AirTag. These are my keys. Please call me, text me, whatever. And you can put your phone number, and they don't even have to have an iPhone. It could be an Android user. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a really cool feature. And then of course the anti-stalking thing, which I mentioned earlier.
Yeah. The privacy features. They mentioned all of this stuff on the Find My network is end-to-end encrypted. And one of the advantages I think that AirTags have over, say, a tile tracker is, so with the tile tracker, it works in a similar fashion, but it's anybody on the tile network. So who has the tile app installed.
Yeah.
Right. That's the problem with Tile and Chipolo is you're dependent on Tile and Chipolo users being in your area.
Yeah, and so AirTags, and I think actually it's good you brought up Chipolo, because the Chipolo one spot was I think last week or the week before, one of the products introduced as part of the new Find My Network third-party expansion.
Right. In June. It comes out in June.
Right, but I think they'll both work this way where it works for all of the iPhones out there, just
Yeah.
iPhones, not
Yeah.
people, not
That
the
makes a
finite.
huge difference.
Yeah, yeah. Think of tile users versus iPhone users.
At least where I live, a lost item could sit for months before a tile user or a Chipotle user walks by it, but it's not going to sit very long before an iPhone user walks past.
Yeah, that's true, and it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if there are, say, a lot more Android users in your area versus iPhone users. A lot of people have iPhones. A lot of people
Yeah.
have iPhones pretty much wherever you go that AirTags are launching.
Right.
Yeah, it is probably the best tracker for iOS users out there. There's some specific features like those leave behind alerts that if those are super important to you, like the most important thing, then maybe you want to look elsewhere, at least for now. But yeah, I think Apple nailed this. This feels like Apple nailed this.
Yeah.
More on that later. More on that next week. So moving right along to Apple TV. First of all, it's another Apple service update because Ted Lasso, the most important announcement of the event, as far as I'm concerned, Ted Lasso season 2 is coming July 23rd.
I actually have not watched Ted Lasso yet.
Christine, your assignment is to watch Ted Lasso.
Okay, so here's the thing about Ted Lasso. I don't think that it is one of the best shows that I've ever seen, but it has so much heart, and so many TV shows today are so dark, and the main characters are, right, like very cynical, and the sort of the anti-hero thing is really big. Ted Lasso, I mean, yes, there are people who aren't so nice, for sure. There are antagonists, but the main character, like Ted Lasso, he just is so sweet. Like, you want to be his best friend. Like, he is just the nicest guy. And so it's actually fun to watch a show that's centered around a nice person for a change.
who is just improving the lives of the people around him.
Like, yes, very much so.
Last year and still this year, it was a great show and a great sort of message, I think, to broadcast. Karen, have you watched a lot of stuff on Apple TV Plus?
I've watched I've seen like 3 different shows, I would say.
I've seen a few of them. Christina, have you watched a lot of stuff on Apple TV Plus?
Not really. I mean, the only thing I finished was the morning show, basically.
Yeah, that was one of the shows I watched. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
I've watched, let's see. I've watched C. Working my way through the second season of All Mankind, and I've watched the first season of that. I've watched I've watched Ted Lasso. I've watched a good chunk of their programming, and I think Ted Lasso is my special favorite for Apple TV Plus so far. And I'm just glad it's coming back, and I'm glad they had a neat little trailer showing us some of the new stuff coming in season 2. But that leads us into a bigger discussion of the new Apple TV 4K. It's still the Apple TV 4K, and there is, I've counted now, one exclusive feature, I think, to this entire new box, and it is the high frame rate HDR. So if you want there's new color calibration, there's a new remote coming. We'll talk a little bit about that. That stuff is in tvOS 14.5.
I feel like people are more excited about the remote than the TV. The Apple
I certainly am. I'm getting one. I think I'm getting 2. Yeah, I have 2.
And it's backwards compatible, right?
It is backwards compatible to the Apple TV HD.
That's really nice that they did that.
It's good. I don't want a whole new box, especially if it's. So let's talk about this Apple TV. It's got an 812 processor. It is not a. So I mentioned high res HDR or high frame rate HDR. It does. That is, I think, 60 frames per second, not 120 hertz, like was rumored a few weeks ago. This is a spec bump update, if ever there was one.
Yeah.
So what do we think this like? Is there something else in the wings? Is there like?
Is this it?
Is this what we're doing, Apple? This is just we're just gonna iteratively bump.
I guess this time, I mean, maybe next time around they'll do the big, the sound bar and the, bifurcated lines like we were
Yeah, like
speculating about. But yeah,
a
this one's
dongle
just
and
a
a hyper
little,
expensive sound bar.
just a little spec pump.
Yeah. Is everyone
It's okay.
Is everyone here mostly excited about the remote?
I mean, if I had an Apple TV, I would be. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just waiting for one of the things I already have to break before I buy new. But yeah, it does look pretty sweet.
Christine, are you an Apple TV owner?
No, I don't have an Apple TV.
See, this is it's me again, alone again, with my excitement for this Apple TV remote. And it has a mute button, for goodness sake. It has a mute button. It has a jog wheel. It has, it's no more just swiping. Directional pad, a power button for my TV.
It looks like exactly everything that we needed.
Yeah, I'm not crazy that it's silver aluminum again. I actually like the black of the current remote, but I'll take it.
It's a small thing.
And like so many things that were announced on Tuesday, it is shipping. All of this is shipping like back half of May. Like the AirTags are shipping next week, and then I think the iPhone's shipping next week, and everything else is shipping back half of May. It's not a massive update. The color calibration is cool. I've tried that out, but again, that's a TV OS 14.5 feature, which should be next week. So if you want,
I don't get why they didn't put like the U1 chip in the remote.
Yes, we have an editorial out today by Luke Filipovich, who was talking about why isn't this in Find My? At least why isn't it in Find My? You don't need
stick an AirTag on it. So some of the third party AirTag cases have adhesive on the back. It's like just right to stick on the back of your.
Yeah, it occurred to me that they've kind of removed some of the gyroscope stuff from the Apple TV remote that would be used for games. It would be great if they could have made a little compartment that slid out and you could stick an AirTag in there and slide it in. Because it is bigger. It is thicker than the old remote.
Yeah.
So it's probably thick enough for an AirTag. Maybe.
You could just duct tape it on the back like MacGyver if you want to be really inelegant.
DIY it. Yeah. So that's Apple TV. Let's move on to the two meatier announcements of this event. We'll start with the more colorful one, truly more colorful, and that's the iMac. There was an iMac. There was an iMac at this event. I was doubting. I doubted that there would be an iMac, and then lo and behold, it is an extremely colorful, extremely thin iMac. What do we think, Christine? What do you make of the new iMac?
I really like the colors.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure about the white bezel.
Yeah. They're very good. They're going to be very good for offices. You're going to walk in, you're going to see the very colorful iMac. But when you're staring at I don't see a lot of white TVs. Apple's done away with. I think Apple's done away with the white bezels. Well, they've certainly done away with white bezels on iPad Pro,
and the iPhone.
There's no white bezels on the iPhone, even on the colors that used to pair with white bezels.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, these iMacs are something else. Karen, you mentioned it earlier, but talk to us a little bit about that power cord. What's so special about the iMac power cord?
Yeah, it's the iMac is now so thin that there's no place to plug the power cord in, so it's magnetic. It attaches to the back magnetically, which looks really cool. And it has it's, I don't know why they didn't just use the term Magsafe, because that's basically what it is. If somebody trips over your power cable, they're not going to take your iMac down to the ground.
They will immediately turn it off, but it won't be shattered.
Better off than shattered on the floor.
I think this is a neat trick, and it should be noted this only applies to the I want to say $14.99 and above configuration on Apple's website. This does not apply to the $12.99 base model, but on the mid-range one and above, the Ethernet port is in the power brick, which when you're too thin, when your computer itself is too thin for an Ethernet port, I think this is a pretty neat trick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That is an interesting one.
I saw the back of this when they were first showing them off, and they're like, oh no, there's no Ethernet port, because they really detonated all of the ports but the USB-C / Thunderbolt ports. It's like, oh no, there's no Ethernet.
Yeah,
on a desktop, I want Ethernet.
Yeah, it's a good idea putting it on the brick, because it could be a little bit farther away from your computer. So you don't have to set your computer right next to the modem. Like, it can be a little bit farther away.
Exactly.
Or the router.
Yeah, and Dalva in the chat notes, it does look like the iPad design. It looks a lot like that. Those flat edges.
Yeah.
It's uniformly thin. It doesn't have a bulge in the back. No, bulb of hidden parts and hot chips. And
yeah, I think it looks really sweet from the side. The front is a little strange. It'll take some getting used to. I think the chin is kind of weird, especially because it doesn't have a logo on it. I saw somebody did a mock-up with an Apple logo on the chin. It looked a lot better just putting a little Apple logo there. Like that would have been a good thing. But
just put a sticker on it.
Yeah, you could put a sticker on it, and you know what? We'll get used to it. We always do. Whenever Apple releases something, we're like, "Oh, that looks kind of weird." We always get used to it.
Think about like
becomes the new normal.
Name. How much fun of the iPad people made just because of its name.
Yes. Yes. How much we hated the name when it first came out, and now we don't even think about it.
Yeah, and now it's an iPad.
It's just normal now.
But yeah, I think you're probably right, Karen. We'll get used to it. And now this should be noted, seems like the sort of consumer model. It's replacing essentially the 21.5 inch
iMac. It's not an iMac Pro,
right? And it's so far following the trend of the M1, except for with the possible exception of one device that we still have to talk about. But you can get. It's powerful. The M1 is a powerful chip. It's just it's not the high-end developer, cinematographer, music producer machine that I think a lot of people have been waiting for. There's not an M1X in this. It's still the M1. They've got a new dual fan setup, so it should be pretty quiet. Two Thunderbolt ports, 2 USB-C ports in the back. I like those colors on the back.
The colors are awesome. Can you see, like, if we're starting a business where everybody's going to have a desk and a computer, and just like setting up like a rainbow of iMacs for everybody.
You draw colors from a hat.
Yeah.
Who gets the green one? Who gets the blue one?
We can fight over the purple one.
Should get there's a yellow one, right? Should get an iMore yellow iMac.
If I could get the pink one, it would match like everything else on my desk, because everything on my desk is pink.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That would be good. I like this. I like this iMac overall. There's some quibbles, but definitely cool.
Yeah,
really cool. And the thinness, really, it's like,
it
almost feels like
nice.
It's about time,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for an iMac this thin.
Yeah.
And so there's one more product to talk about, but before we do that, Karen, we have another sponsor.
Yes, we do. So when my husband and I were celebrating, I believe it was our 15th anniversary, the two of us went to Europe, and we did like a whirlwind tour of Europe, just the two of us. And it was wonderful and romantic and all that. But we had 3 young kids, and we left them at home with their grandparents. And every time I fly, there's always in the back of my mind, like, I'm not a fearful flyer. I'm a very experienced flyer. I've been doing it since I was a little girl, but there's always that, if there's like a little turbulence or like a rough landing, there's always that moment like, oh, what if this is it? So, with the two of us flying overseas, leaving our kids behind, like, what would happen if something happened to our plane and our kids were left to be raised by somebody else? Like, how would whoever took took over raising them pay for their college. And, there's all kinds of scary things that go through your mind. So on that note, it makes sense why people get life insurance, especially term coverage, which is surprisingly affordable. Why not pay a bit each month to protect the ones you love? If you're asking yourself this question, choose Ladder. Ladder makes it impressively fast and easy to get covered. You just need a few minutes and a phone or a laptop to apply. Ladder's smart algorithms work in real time, so you'll find out instantly if you're approved. No hidden fees, cancel anytime. And since life insurance costs more as you age, now's the time to cross it off your list. So check out Ladder today to see if you're instantly approved. Go to ladderlife.com/iMore. That's LADDER life.com/iMore. Ladderlife.com/iMore.
All right. So yes, we do have one more product to talk about. And that
Your favorite.
My favorite. I'm so happy. I am.
Are you getting one?
Yes, I am. I am,
Good.
Karen. Unfortunately, I'm also going to have to get a new Magic keyboard as well because I'm getting the 12.9-inch version, but we will talk about that in just a second. So, the iPad Pro, it's got an M1. It has an M1 chip in it. That's
crazy. It seems like an awful lot of power. So, which leads me to believe that there's going to be some major software coming soon.
This is what I've been saying this since Tuesday. There's a second part of the story. There's another shoe that that has yet to drop. That's the software story. So let's talk about this. I'm going to focus a lot on the 12.9-inch iPad Pro because all of the new stuff comes to that. Most of the new stuff comes to the 11-inch model, but the new screen doesn't.
Yeah, so, it's like the 12.9 inch is the Pro.
It's the real Pro. For real pros, Pro. So M1, it is powering the new iPad Pro. We saw archival footage of Tim Cook stealing it from his own lab. Like, Tim, you run the company. You just say put an M1 in it. You don't know how to steal anything, buddy. But yeah, then a fun little video where Tim, in one of those masks from Mission Impossible, did a heist of the Mac lab and put an M1 and an iPad Pro. So let's talk about this thing. First of all, on the 12.9-inch iPad Pro, there's a screen that is the display is new. It is a what do they call it? Liquid Retina XDR.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about this display. What is so special about it? Christine, why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Basically, it's able to show like super high brightness and high contrast HDR content.
Yeah.
So it's like great for those who like do photo and video editing with like HDR content.
Art production, just so much stuff. Photography too. It's a mini LED display, like it's been rumored to be. So I think for power efficiency, that's pretty good. I think also because of this display, the 12.9-inch Pro or iPad Pro is 0.5 millimeter thicker, which leads to why you need a new Magic Keyboard with iPad Pro if you already have one and are getting this iPad, because it doesn't close right, apparently, at least according to some publications. So we will see. I'm getting it in white.
You're getting the white one.
I decided to get this morning. I decided to get the white Magic Keyboard. I get dark Apple products all the time. I'm probably still going to get, this is going to be a sort of clash situation because I'm probably still going to get the space gray iPad Pro.
But white goes with everything. I wouldn't worry about that, but you're not worried about it getting scuffed?
No, not even a little. That's rarely a concern for me, especially like I try so often to just keep my iPhone safe, and inevitably about a month in, there will be some kind of slice in that screen that you don't always see, but sometimes, a lot of the times you do feel it under the thumb. So if I can't keep an iPhone safe, I'm not going to worry too much about this keyboard. But yeah, let's talk about a bit about what the M1 means on iPad Pro. It means, let's talk about RAM. Apple actually had a slide that mentioned RAM on the iPad, on an iPad presentation. You can get 8 or 16 gigabytes of RAM. To put this in perspective, last year, 6. You had 6 gigabytes. No options. And before that, it was 4, or if you had the 1 terabyte model of the 2018 iPad Pro, that came with 6. And I think that was only because you needed 6 to access the 1 terabyte of storage you could get on that model. So this is a grown-up amount of RAM. This is an adult computer. This is essentially, it's a MacBook Pro or a MacBook Air in tablet form, because neither of those have fans.
So what? How do you see yourself using it?
Well, a lot like I use my iPad Air now, or iPad Pro now, just faster. So that's writing, it's photo editing, it's a lot of, I got to say, a lot of photo editing. I'm hoping that, and yeah, a little bit about this is not how you should buy. By the way, children, this is not how you should buy computer products. Do not buy based on speculation of software to come. But I do think there's another software story coming in June that we will see, and it will be benefited by this machine. Now, I think it's going to be a story that you could tell on a lot of iPads, let's say, but this machine, the iPad Pro 2021, is going to benefit greatly from iPad OS 15, is what I'll say. I don't think Mac OS, stop calling for Mac OS to come to the iPad. Just stop it. You're making fools of yourselves, and it's so exhausting. But yeah, don't no, I don't think it's Mac OS, but yeah, the other thing that this chip enables is Thunderbolt. There is indeed a Thunderbolt port on this. I'm going to try it out on this Thunderbolt dock that I have underneath my Mac right now. I'm going to disconnect it from my Mac, and I'm going to use it with my iPad. I'm wondering about the charging situation or whether or not there is one. But there are already a bunch of great Thunderbolt accessories out there that will just plug into this Mac, and I'm excited to try some of them.
So all the Thunderbolt products that work on a Mac will now work on an iPad Pro?
I mean, I don't know that all of them will. For instance, this interface that I'm using for my microphone, I believe you need some attendant software in order to actually run it, and that is,
okay.
And that's not even running on M1 Max yet. So I don't think it'll be running on an M1 iPad anytime soon. And audio stuff, and this is part of the software question for me on this machine, is a lot of audio software on the Mac that I love using on the Mac works in the background in a way that it can't really, especially with say video calls like we're doing right now, doesn't work the same way. And it's, it's part of what I want to see Apple improve. Like, I don't want an iPad to become a Mac. I want it to be an iPad. I just want it to be more powerful and more capable. And one of the things the M1 enables is exactly that.
Yeah. You are the perfect customer for this.
Yes, I am the perfect customer. Apple,
they had you in mind. They made it for you.
They made this for me and Federico Viticci over at Mac Stories. I'm pretty sure the two of us were the exact targets of this machine. I am excited about hardware in a way that I haven't been in a little while. Like, even the iPhone 12, I love the design, but I wasn't like excited for it, like this. And I think I'm excited about this hardware because of what it could mean for the software. The software is the big deal for me. It's and no new Apple Pencil. The Magic Keyboard that we've got is it's really a refresh, even though the old one fits the 11-inch, the new 11-inch Pro just fine. That now also comes in white if you want to get that. Yeah, like graphite and white or gray and white. However, I don't actually know what they have what they term the color on that one.
Yeah,
on
I I just want to see what your white Magic Keyboard looks like after a month.
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
more like a yellow, tanned.
No, I don't
keyboard.
think it'll change color uniformly like that. I think
No.
it'll be prone to scuffing. I would get one of those magic erasers. Although those you have to use with water. You probably don't want water anywhere near your Magic Keyboard.
Actually, here's what'll happen. I mean, because it's starting to really get nice outside, and I'm planning on getting one with cellular connectivity so I can connect better. But I've also started installing wireless equipment outside. So I'll be outside more. So it'll be like yellowed by the sun.
Oh, okay.
That's what'll end up happening.
Yeah.
But
no, I don't know. I have a white iPhone and it has not had. It still is completely pristine. So you never know. It just depends on what the material is. Is it silicone? Is that what it is?
I think so. And I got to tell you, one of the things that's really impressed me about so I have the one they released last year, the Magic Keyboard, and in a way that is different from the what do they call it? The Smart Keyboard, like that sort of original keyboard case that they have, the one without the trackpad. It has held up well. Like the material has held up well. I mean, sure, there's like water droplets that have kind of stained it a little bit over the years, and I think there might be a little mustard stain on one edge.
Well, that's not Apple's fault.
That's not Apple, but it has held up well. There hasn't been any of that rippling effect that you get on the Smart Keyboard.
Yeah.
The place where the palm rest area on either side of the trackpad hasn't really worn down like the metal can on a MacBook.
Yeah.
Like the only thing that really has shown any sign of wear is like the space bar is a little worn away, because like oil from your skin will do that to plastic sometimes. But yeah, it still works well. It's been fairly durable, more durable than even the edges of my current iPad Pro. It sports all of the little Keller custom nicks and stripes. But yeah, it's a if you have wondered about the Magic Keyboard for iPad Pro, I got to tell you, it holds up. It's expensive. I won't lie. It is expensive, but it holds up. Yeah. So we've come down to the end of our hour. There's some cool stuff we didn't talk about this week. We didn't talk about the new keyboards with Touch ID. We didn't talk about the color matching on those accessories.
Oh, I love that.
The fact that they did not redesign the Magic Mouse and how much consternation that causes my soul. But yeah, it was a spring-loaded event, and they kept that to an hour. So we will keep it to our version of an hour. I want to thank Karen as always for being here. Christine, thanks for joining us this week. I want to say thanks to everybody who watched and listened live and who joined us in the comments. It's always fun to see you folks there. Big thanks to all of our later day listeners who will catch us in their podcatcher of choice, maybe the Apple Podcasts app with subscriptions, or in Overcast or Pocket Casts. We do it for the listeners, and it's always great to hear from you folks. And of course, thanks to the wonderful Jim Metzendorf, who always makes it sound lovely. And yeah, it's been an eventful week. We'll reconvene again same time next week. Until then, this has been the iMore Show. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.